The Parched Planet, Unraveling the Drought-Sea Level Rise Connection. Imagine a world where the very water we rely on is turning against us, where droughts and rising seas are not just separate crises, but interconnected threats worsening each other. This isn't science fiction, it's happening now. A groundbreaking study reveals how overusing groundwater, combined with worsening droughts and faster evaporation caused by rising temperatures, has led to a dramatic drop in freshwater availability worldwide. Here's the kicker. This phenomenon, dubbed continental drying, has become so severe that it now contributes more to global sea level rise than melting ice sheets. Yes, you read that right. The planet's drying lands are literally funneling water into the oceans at an alarming rate. And this is the part most people miss. What happens on land doesn't stay on land. It profoundly impacts everything from drinking water supplies to food production in some of the most fertile regions on Earth. Water plays a massive role in growing our food, explains Jay Femiglietti, a professor at Arizona State University's School of Sustainability and co-author of the study. If current trends continue, we're looking at serious risks to food security and access to clean water. These findings aren't just academic. They're a wake-up call for everyone, from policymakers to ordinary citizens, urging immediate action before the situation spirals further out of control. The study, published in Science Advances, paints a grim picture of the last 2 decades. Researchers analyzed changes in terrestrial water sources like lakes, aquifers, and soil moisture using data from 4 NASA satellites. What they found was startling. Large parts of the world, especially already arid regions, have been drying out rapidly since 2014. In fact, the area affected by drought expands annually by a region roughly twice the size of California. But here's where it gets controversial. These parched zones aren't isolated. Instead, they merge into vast mega-drying regions. One such area stretches across Central America, Mexico, California, the southwestern U.S., the lower Colorado River Basin, and the southern High Plains. These sprawling drylands highlight how interconnected the problem truly is. Benjamin Hamilton, a research scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, emphasizes the ripple effects. Water is the linchpin driving changes both on land and in the oceans. Every continent, except Greenland and Antarctica, has experienced unprecedented drying since 2002. This trend spells trouble for humanity, as 3/4 of the global population lives in countries where freshwater resources are dwindling. And then there's the ocean. As continents dry up, the displaced water flows into the seas, accelerating sea level rise. Coastal communities face mounting challenges, including stronger storms, devastating floods, and an escalating insurance crisis in vulnerable cities like those in Florida. For instance, extreme weather has already triggered difficulties in obtaining affordable flood insurance in many coastal areas. What makes this issue even more alarming if it's permanence or near permanence? Many of these changes, such as excessive groundwater pumping, may take thousands or even tens of thousands of years to reverse, according to Alexander Sims, a professor at the University of California, Santa Barbara. When water leaves the continents, it has nowhere else to go but the ocean, he explains. Most of it evaporates, rains back down, and eventually ends up in the sea. While Sims questions whether water loss from continents surpasses melting ice sheets as the primary driver of sea level rise, he acknowledges the study's significance in quantifying a scale of water losses globally. Meanwhile, Hamilton stresses that tracking terrestrial water storage is essential for predicting future droughts, floods, and water shortages. So what does all this mean for us? Are we destined to watch helplessly as droughts and rising seas reshape our planet? Or can we find ways to adapt and mitigate these intertwined crises? The researchers leave us with a challenge: to rethink how we manage water resources and confront climate change head on. But the question remains, will we act in time? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Freshwater crisis. New study reveals alarming rates of disappearance globally. Here's a harsh truth. Earth's freshwater is vanishing faster than glaciers melt, and the consequences could reshape our planet. A groundbreaking study analyzing 2 decades of satellite data exposes a crisis unfolding on epic scales. Continents are drying out at rates roughly twice California's size every year. This isn't just global warming, it's a ticking time bomb for food security, coastlines, and social stability. At the heart of the issue lies groundwater, our planet's true ancient trust fund. A staggering 68% of water losses come from underground stores, contributing more to sea level rise than Antarctica and Greenland combined. Imagine ancient aquifers tapped without replacement like overdrawn savings accounts. We're treating groundwater as disposable, not a finite resource, warns ASU's Jay Famiglietti, the study's lead researcher. His team's findings reveal 4 mega drying zones in the Northern Hemisphere, including key agricultural and population centers. But here's where it gets controversial. Why are tropical regions bucking the global trend, getting wetter instead of drier? Consider this. 75% of humanity, 7.6 billion people, now lives in 101 countries running a freshwater deficit. Meanwhile, UN projections suggest another 50-60 years of population growth alongside shrinking water availability. It's a collision course. What makes this study unique? Scientists detected a critical tipping point around 2014-15, when extreme weather events intensified and groundwater use spiked. Mega droughts began shifting hemispheres, drying areas drifting north, wet zones moving south. This pattern reversal caught even climate models off guard. The 4 continental drying hotspots now span 1. North America's southwest, California, Arizona, plus Central America's breadbasket. 2. Alaska to northern Canada, melting glaciers and Arctic permafrost. 3. Northern Russia, thawing Siberian ice sheets. 4. Minna to Eurasia, Middle Eastern deserts, shrinking Caspian Sea, and agricultural hubs like India's Punjab and China's North Plain. But wait, science just threw everyone a curveball. The tropics remain wetter despite climate models predicting opposite. Satellites now prove continuous monitoring matters, as short-term data can't capture long-term shifts. But researchers compare this to sleepwalking toward environmental bankruptcy. We're using emergency funds during droughts, but never replenishing groundwater during wet years, explains the lead author Hrishikesh Chandanpurkar. This non-renewable depletion outpaces glacier melting since 2014. Yielding double trouble for coastal communities. The prescription is urgent. Global groundwater governance, smart water policies, and international cooperation. Without action, farm failures, city water alarms, and flooded coastal capitals become inevitabilities. The World Bank is now integrating these findings into a crisis response plan. But this raises big questions. Should we prioritize at saving ice sheets or groundwater? What happens when major food-growing regions become drought zones? Drop your take in comments. Are these warning signs being ignored? Beneath the surface, the untold story of groundwater depletion, water crisis and solutions. The hidden crisis, groundwater depletion and its untold consequences. Imagine a quaint village, once thriving with lush green fields and abundant fresh water. This was Biravpur before the groundwater depleted. The village now faces a harsh reality. The wells have run dry, leaving the community grappling with the consequences of overuse and neglect. But here's where it gets alarming. Biravpur isn't alone. Aquifers are shrinking across the globe, from California to China, due to excessive drilling and lack of sustainable practices. And this is the part most people miss. Groundwater isn't just a source of water. It's a finite resource that we're rapidly depleting. The story of Ramesh, a farmer in Biravpur, highlights the severity of the situation. His once thriving sugarcane fields are now withering, and the bore well he relies on is barely producing water. His daughter Mira, an environmental science graduate, reveals the shocking truth. The water table has dropped by 40 feet in just 15 years, and the remaining water is contaminated with arsenic. Despite the grim reality, there's hope. Communities in Rajasthan are reviving ancient water harvesting techniques, while farmers in California are experimenting with dry farming and winter flooding to recharge aquifers. These efforts are a step in the right direction, but the battle against groundwater depletion is far from over. The story of Biravpur is a wake-up call. It's time to rethink our relationship with groundwater and adopt sustainable practices before it's too late. What do you think? Can we change our ways and protect this precious resource, or are we doomed to face the consequences of our actions? Let us know in the comments below.